And I'm just sorry for that. I'm gonna apologize in advance. It can't be charged because it gets overheated and whines like a baby. So we're gonna do what we can for a little bit. I am gonna start the thing today though with a, hold on. Am I not? Hey, Leah, am I the host? Yeah, I am. Oh, there it is. So I'm going to start today with this video. I think, Stephanie, you're going to love this video, actually, if you haven't already seen it. It's wildly popular on Facebook right now. And it's going to be a little bit of our inspiration today. It's a show that's at the Whitney right now. It's a Caribbean artist. I'm going to assume it's soft pastel she's using, but I don't know. Mainly by the amount of junk on her fingers. Okay, hold on. So I have, hold on, I'm not sure what that is. Huh? Woo! I don't know if that was shown to you, but my computer was taken over by a ghost. Okay, so we're gonna actually do this and not spotlight Leah because that's not helpful to anybody. Okay, so we're gonna do some exercises today. We're gonna start, hold on. God, everything is hard today. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I have 3 pieces of paper. You can't really see it. Maybe if you can see that I have, sorry for the dizzying look, everyone. 3 pieces of paper here. I'm gonna work on 3 pieces of paper at once today for today's exercises, mainly because I'm gonna want them to dry in between. And we're gonna work on an intuitive painting process. Not similar to what the artist that we just saw is doing, but in conscious understanding that intuitive painting is a little bit different than, intuitive abstract's a little bit different than a design-based abstract, meaning that the intention of intuitive abstract is that you are resourcing some internal parts of yourself and that the painting is coming from that. So something that I think is interesting about what we just saw with the performance of that artist is that she closed her eyes and created a barrier for herself that allowed her to access a different energy. We talk a lot about abstract artists in particular putting barriers on themselves as a way of creating and experiencing new work. Her barrier is that she covers up her eyes. Something that is important to the success of creating like that is that you have to be conscious of your materials and make sure in advance that they go together, mainly because if you can't see them, you can't control that they look well together. So my thought is that today, we're gonna do some intuitive painting exercises, but we're gonna use we're gonna use a stopwatch. And the barrier that we're gonna put for ourselves is a time barrier. I am gonna do my first, I'm gonna do it in 1 minute increments. If that seems too long, I'll shorten it to 30 seconds. I would suggest multiple pieces of paper. I'm gonna start with my first layer being being chalks. they're going to get all messed up and goopy and gross, but it's going to be really fun to consider, you know, the video that we just watched and kind of settling into my artistic nature. And then what I'm going to do for my second layer after that is I'm going to choose 2 or 3 colors of paint that are from the same temperature family, meaning that it's either cool paints or it's warm paints. Again, cool paints are colors that fall in the blues, greens, and blue purples. That's really important to know, and the green yellows. So there is like half of those 2 colors kind of fall into the cools. And then the warms are your magentas, your pinks, your reds, your oranges, and your bright yellows. We're going to alternate layers by temperature so that we don't have mud. Another reason that we're going to work on 3 separate pieces of paper today, and we're going to start, I'm going to start the first layer with some scribbling. Your first layer can be words that you want to write down. Some people do blessings. Some people do large scribblings of like graphite and pencils. Today, I'm going to take inspiration from the video that we just watched, and I'm going to start with these colored marks. I am going to do something though for myself. Like I said, it's the setup of the material that's important. I'm going to leave my warms, orange, coral, and pinko on one side, and I'm going to take out my cools. The cools that I have are this light blue, this green, and this purple, because I don't want them to get muddy and weird. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set an alarm. We're going to set a stopwatch for 1 minute, and every layer we're going to start a new layer after 1 minute. So rotating 3 different pieces of paper so that you can have some exploration. I am going to, just to be upfront about what I'm doing, I'm going to have my marks are going to go across all 3 pieces of paper for the first layer. If you want to use pencils for your first layer and draw, I am going to close my eyes too. I think that taking the sight part out of it allows you to be present in your body. It allows you to be present in the creative energy that you're working with here. So then I wish that mine, if I could set a lap, that's the hard part with not being able to see. We're just gonna have to hope that I'm somewhere near on time, right? Oh, hold on, look at this. I got a timer here. 0 hours, 1 minute, 0 seconds, okay? Are we ready for our first layer? Oh my, this is what we're gonna fight today, huh? It's the temperature of this phone. It's also hot in this room, that doesn't help. Come on. Hold on. What a silly bit of technology we have to constantly deal with, huh? Sorry, I have to share it with my other phone and hopefully. Well, we're just gonna be dealing with a little bit of this and that today. It's oddly warm, so that's fine too. Okay, until my phone tells me that life just doesn't look like that. Okay, so I've got our alarm set. Stephanie has her supplies set. I can tell by looking at her. She's ready to go. She always is. Okay. I'm gonna close my eyes, and here we go for our 1 minute. I feel weird without music. Like she had music that she was like jamming to, but we're gonna roll with it. See how dirty we can get, right? The idea here is you're tapping into some kind of energy, stepping out of the world in which it has to look a certain way. And then we're going to respond. Each layer is a response to the layer before, which kind of makes it a special experience. This is the part of which I think sometimes abstract work gets almost mystical. Sorry for the chatter in the background. Oh, there's our first minute. I did know, it was intuitive in my heart what the first minute was going to look like. Well, I felt like I did a lot more work than this. I just want to put this out here for those who can see this. But I really thought we got a lot more. So
I like it.
I like it, right? It's a good starting spot. So now
wait, do you want you to be, or would you rather have your phone to be big?
Oh, it's because it keeps kicking off.
It keeps kicking off. Okay, got it.
We may not have it for very long. Let's be really honest with it in our life. It's overheating, and I'm not really sure what makes it overheat about Zoom.
Right.
So Stephanie, we're going on to our next layer. So each layer is going to be a response to the first layer. I'm going to suggest working one page at a time. I'm going to start in the middle page because you guys can see that page. And I'm going to go to my next layer. It's going to be cool layers. So I have collected a variety of blues that I enjoy working with together. And I may even throw in some weird greens. And at this point, we're just making some layers. Nothing is specific. We're not creating something. This is really just about tapping in to our own comfort zone, getting into flow. So we're going to do this in 1 minute segments. Okay. So Stephanie, if that isn't working for you, you just let me know, meaning that if you need more time than that, you go ahead and let me know. I have just to put forth what I have here is I have a variety of tools. Oh man, she's in an apron. Yes, it's getting good. I have a variety of tools so that each layer I can change my tool. The hope here is that after the first couple of layers in which we're really just laying down paint, a story will start to come. We're going to do our first 3 layers, and then I'm going to suggest that we rotate the paper. Yep, see, this phone is going to be brutal for us today. I'm not really sure why it overheats so much. So, hold on. We'll try to get this other one, which means no WhatsApp today, but that's fine. There's not enough people on the WhatsApp to matter. Give me a second. I got to pull up the link. Sorry, everyone. Luckily. This is frustrating. I am so sorry, everyone. It is
okay.
What it is.
Don't worry about it.
We're going to get the other phone working. You're going to figure out why this particular experience causes this other phone to overheat all the time, considering it's a newer phone than mine. But, you know, life only goes so far.
Yeah. And technology works until it doesn't.
Well, we are technology bitch. I mean, there is no other way to be about that, you know, dependent on technology ourselves.
Yes.
I just like it. The whole point I'm assuming is that you guys want to see the work that I'm doing, not just my beautiful face.
Yes.
I mean, as charming as it is.
It does. You do like really good with that pink shirt. That's a great color for you.
So warm right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hold on. We're almost there.
Come here. Sorry, I'm talking to my cat, not you.
Look.
Do you like that holder, Karista? I've been kind of debating.
I've used a lot of holders. I prefer this one. I want to try that other holder, the one that has the light. I just haven't gotten around to purchasing it because I'm working in some other technological mediums that are costing me some money right now. So, okay. That's about as good as we're going to get right now. Okay. Stephanie, are you ready for the next layer? She's so ready for the next layer. But now we have to use the other phone for the timer because we still need a timer.
I can time. Do you want me to time?
I got it. I got it right here.
Okay, just saying.
If I don't, I'll let you know. I can always get the espresso timer. Okay. I'm just going to throw down some paint. We got 1 minute and go. Although now it's going to pause. Yeah. This is the worst phone problems. Audrey would be laughing so hard at me right now. Okay. I guess we're gonna see how this orange chalk stuff kind of plays, aren't we? I don't want to cover it up entirely, but something about intuitive painting that's really important is not getting too stuck in being afraid to do new things with each layer. Don't be afraid to cover up what you have, to mix new colors and to bring a different voice. We're going to be working through these a lot today. So what we're going to see is that it's going to take us some time to create some layers before our first minute is up already. This is going to be quite the challenge today in a great way. So rotate pieces. I'm going to rotate to this. You're going to see my camera for a bit, but I think you all can handle that. It won't kill you. I'm going to rotate to this one that just has the orange chalk, and I'm going to start our timer a little again. Some ideas for people who are feeling stuck, like what am I doing here? So I am in these first couple of layers just creating some layers of color, and then I'll come in and do specific marks. And I will trade up my paint in different colors to react appropriately to the moment. So it'll be a little bit easier, but for now we're just laying down some first marks. And here we go for our next layer, and 1 minute. Now that we know that 1 minute is like no minutes, I feel like 2 minutes might be too much and 1 minute's not enough. And all of a sudden it's just very complicated and hard. I do have to get up and get my white paint after this because we're going to need some white paint. There's a lot of different things that can go here. You can do layers that are text. You can do layers that, you're doing stripes for a layer or dots for a layer. If you're having problems with some of those, we did a video where we pulled each layer. We pulled the layer and it told us what to do. The idea here is that it's intuitive, that we're working on developing our own kind of consciousness for what we want to create. As you can see, I'm leaving spaces where some of the orange is showing through because we know that it's going to be really nice. We're going to be adding a bunch of that soon though. Okay. Next, the reason that we work with these three is that you probably can tell that your paintings are kind of drying when we move to the next one, which is what we want so that we can more continuously and fluidly work. We're going to show you this one. We're on to our third piece here. See how much I can interact delightfully with my things. I am going to lay down some water first on this one, just because I can play with the water a little bit better. And then I am going to start another timer. Okay. And as the layers go, we may decide that we want the timer to be a little bit longer or shorter even, depending on the different layers. One of the things I love is people who know how many layers it took. They're like, it took me 130 layers of random things to do. to make this work. You can see the way that the chalk is kind of mixing in with my green. It's not pretty. Hopefully we dry up and we're able to kind of cover that up. And you're gonna have layers like this. You know, this is intuitive painting is a process that sometimes feels like you're just working to save your painting. Like this is super ugly, gross first layer, but we don't know that we won't love it in the end. I am gonna remove some of the liquid, scrape it off a little bit, and look, it's already feeling a little bit better. Okay, now going to get some white paint because I got every color but white, real helpful. And I'm going to do that. Okay. So we've done our first 3 layers. We've done them on these 3 individual pieces. I'm sopping up this layer because of the wetness and such. It's rough. We're gonna see, this one is gonna be one that we have to really love hard and try and save. Should be fine. We are, however, gonna move over to this one. I'm gonna start over here for our next layer. Gonna sit down. So in between your different layers of cool and warm, you can also do neutrals. I'm gonna do some white just to kind of even things out, and then we'll move on. Okay, starting another 1 minute, here we go. I'm gonna use a different tool this time though. Where did, it's right here. Oh, I'm gonna waste all of my time trying to find my tools. Typical abstract painter. I'm just gonna put some space into this painting a little bit. Mix in with the blue a little bit, but also, you know, add a little bit of visual space so we can continue to keep building it. Sometimes we don't really know what a painting's going to be for the first couple of layers, and it's really just an exploration of materials. One of the benefits of working with so many pieces at once is that if one of them sucks, you can just keep working on the other ones because one of them is probably looking decent. We're going to move to the middle this time. New layer. And I am going to be wild and willy and do a warm layer. Again, this is all, you know, intuition. And after the first couple of layers here, we will rotate our paper, which means pulling the tape up, of course, but that'll be okay. Okay. This one's looking very charming right now. Let's see the ways that I'm going to mess it up and make it really awful before it's really great. Something that, you know, a lot of artists will tell you is don't get attached this early on. And I can respect that, but I'm already attached. So let's see what this looks like. Okay. Getting our paint set up for the next layer because I haven't pulled out any of the lovely warms. And I'm going to press the timer. 1 minute. The timer also takes the thinking out of it all because you really don't got time to think about this. It is going, you are losing it, you know? Okay. I do have a weird thing about creating layers and, like, you know, doing them in odd numbers. That's like a design thing. sometimes it takes me a little bit to kind of step off of that. I always need a wet towel during this because paint gets all mucked up. Okay. I'm going to go to this third one. It's still kind of wet, so, and this is the point at which you start responding to what's on the paper instead of this concept of what you can make it be. This is going to be the one that we're really working on saving, right? Look how gross it is. It's just muddy mucketerness. But here we are. We're gonna roll in for a saving grace, and see if we can start developing this. So on to our next layer. And then after this layer, we have 2 more layers, and then we're going to rotate and see if that helps us work differently at all. So I'm pressing the new alarm. We're going to work on a smaller level on this painting. Smaller marks that are the pencils, the paintbrush is held out a little further. We're really just trying to have fun, decompress a little bit, not take this too seriously. Make things a little messy and weird. I love green and orange together, even though this green looks really not pleasant. I think this might end up being one of my favorites, just looking at where it's going right now, but we'll see. Just kind of rolling the brush. That was our minute. Okay, and now we're going to go back to this other one. This will be my last cool or my last warm layer. And I'm gonna go on to the next layer. 1 more minute, and then we'll rotate and pull off this paper and see how pull off the tape and see how they're looking so far. And go. So I'm going with this similar color, which is, I'm working with pre-thought out color schemes so that decisions are more successful that I'm making, So it's a lot of repetition of the same colors, but in very different settings, I would say. Thinking a lot about my garden right now, which has just gotten started, and spring. This color reminds me of California poppies. Okay. Now I'm going to pull up the tape and we're going to rotate them. Part of the reason that you do that is that we get very attached to the direction of a painting. And part of this intuitive process and part of this process that we're working on today is exploration, and is like, how can we challenge ourselves, whether that's closing our eyes, which, maybe we'll do a layer where we close our eyes, because it can be freeing and terrifying all at once to let go of control. Makes me think of a Beth Ditto song. These are not surprisingly, these are looking pretty good. I can't wait to see what their next couple of layers look like. Some thoughts on working at a pace like this. So your first couple of layers need to be bigger marks, bigger splatters, smooshing paint together, bigger swipes. And as your layers go on, as you're rotating through cool and warm layers, your marks get smaller and smaller, leaving your topmost marks to be your smallest marks, mainly because they're the last ones that are seen. However, sorry about everybody. However, something that can be surprising is, you know, alternating some small marks in the middle of a bunch of big marks in the beginning. I didn't bring any stencils. Stenciling is also a great option in these. Okay, so we're gonna rotate. Look at this guy. I think I'm gonna rotate sideways this time. So I'm gonna work on, I'm gonna change their orientation entirely. Makes them feel like a completely different painting when you do this. And I might actually take the time to tape them because I do like the way that the tape looks. I do like the clean edges that the tape provides. So I'm gonna quickly tape them. You don't have to tape them. And honestly, this is a great exercise if you're working on something like cardboard even. Like it is superbly resilient to being torn up over and over again, and to be getting some of the abuse that this quick of a process does. So, okay. Now for those who are wondering, we are on cool layers, meaning that we just did a round of warms and now we're gonna do a round of cools. After you've rotated them, why don't you choose a new one to start with if you haven't rotated their spot on your table. Really just give yourself some freedom and some magic to find something new. This new layer that I'm gonna do is, I did a lot of blues the first time except for this green one on the end. And so I'm gonna rotate, I'm gonna pull in some green, I think. Probably won't pull in a lot of purple today. Okay, so we're all done up. I'm gonna start on this one right here. Look at that bad boy. We're gonna get our timer going. And my plan here is, you know, it seems extreme, but we're gonna work on these first 3 until 4:30, and then we'll probably start some new pages. I'm gonna do some other stuff though. You know, something I was just thinking about is that maybe another barrier or boundary or thing to overcome is that I'm gonna put some tape down on top of the layers that I already have and see what that reduction of space does for these next couple of rounds. Again, you know, we're just trying to figure out and create some exciting new moments. Okay, so we got some tape down, turning on our timer, our trusty timer, figuring out what color am I working with next? Again, something also to think about is make sure that you're considering value. Make sure that as you rotate through your colors, that you are doing some colors that are lighter than other colors so that it's not, I mean, it's going to be beautiful. It's a big, bright, bold bunch of stuff. But also you can surprise yourself by adding some different lighter and darker colors. Okay, on to the next layer and go. Now we're gonna pull in some green. When I have tape down, I like to put my paint actually on the tape as a way of like almost a temporary staging. Greens are hard for me to like in general. I only like certain shades, which is kind of silly. I think that might be because I went to a university whose color was green and you get kind of blown out on it. And it was like constantly like, what shade of the green are we wearing? That kind of thing was dumb. Okay. Now I'm going to go over here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Look at us going over to the next level. Again, we're doing cool layers right now. This one has a couple more pieces of tape. We're going to use a different color of green than we did the last time. We're going to use a different tool to put it on. I might get really wild and willy. We'll see. Okay. And our timer's going again. If I can turn my phone on, which I can't. Okay, go. I chose a different shade of green this time. This is a shade of green that makes me really uncomfortable to use, honestly. But we're gonna use it. Something that another artist, Flora Bowley, has said, you know, in intuitive painting and processes, if you like what you're doing, just keep doing it. Don't be afraid to overdo it, she says. I don't know that answer, but I think it's interesting to have the encouragement to do what we want to do, right? So I'm going to do some of these green dots instead of other things. One of the reasons being that this painting in general is kind of smaller marks. It kind of is ready to have some more tangible direction. This is when you start to look at your painting and ask yourself, like, what are people going to look at? What are they going to notice? Hold on. Last dot. Whew. Got some wild little dots going through there. Now we're going to Mud Villa, because Mud Villa is what's next. This painting is just looking not great. Well, let's see what we can do. Probably helps if I do this. Sorry, everybody. Okay. So I've, as you can see, put down some pieces of tape here as well, just kind of arbitrary barriers. And you know what I'm gonna do? So this one is super muddy just because of the color of the green. I'm actually gonna come in with a white layer. This is when you know, paying attention to your value and kind of the way that your piece is presenting matter. So I'm gonna come in with a big old white layer. Come in. So 1 minute starting now. See if we can change it up. Okay, we're in the last 15 minutes, and while we won't get through 15 layers, it's time to start looking at the paintings and thinking to yourself, what are the parts of the paintings that I like? This next layer is starting to change and shift the focus of the work. Technically, it's a warm layer. I'm going to be working on this middle piece, which is the one that I started with, right? So this is its turn. And, you know, it's bright. It's got some great colors, but it doesn't have a lot of focus and a lot of directionality. into where it's going as a painting. So I'm gonna have to make some big swift marks. I think I'm gonna pull in the quinacridone and see what happens. See where it all goes. Okay, and go. Oh, I definitely used a tool that has white on the back, so we'll see how that affects everything, huh? My thought here is I love quinacridone magenta, and bringing in a nice good size swatch of it.
Damn, that looks great. Right?
Might give the painting a little bit of directionality. We can decide where it's going to go.
It's nice. It's a nice unifying mark.
Clean it up.
Oh shit, that looks good. Sorry, all of you G-rated people out there. That looks really fucking good though. I just made it worse, didn't I? I'm gonna like mute myself again.
And that's our layer. So some of your layers, no matter how late we are in this thing, you know, like I talked about moving smaller depending on where you are in the process. You don't always have to do that. Obviously, I just made a decision to put a big giant layer in there. We're going to do one more warm layer on the other two pieces in our tripod. And then we're going to pull up the tape and make some big serious decisions. Hold on. Moving. Sorry for those who get sick when I move the camera. Just trying to make y'all part of the game.
Stephanie, I'd love to see what you've got, or do you feel like it's still too early in the process to show anything?
Okay.
You can send it across the thread, just take a picture.
One more layer.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right. You know, Stephanie, I had a student once named Lola. I've been teaching online about 10 years, and Lola was 7 when I started working with her. I worked for her till she was about 9. Absolutely stinking adorable little kid. And I would say to Lola, "Can I see what you're doing?" And she'd go, "One more minute." One more minute. Just one more minute. She always was like, "One more minute."
Something that I find interesting when I stop and think about things is how age plays into the way that we're creative. And we did an event recently where we brought kids into our studio to talk to them about creative businesses. And we had like a game for them to do, and they were making cards, and little kids just dive in. They're ready to get their ideas and their marks out and to make mistakes and figure it out. And the older girls just sat around the table and like stared at each other. Like, waiting for one of them to go first.
To do something, right. Because they're all so
self-conscious and, you know.
So I think my artistic age is probably 4.
That's good. That's a great age.
But that's why abstract art is really so special, is that it allows you to try and resource that younger voice, you know? That's where creativity is really magical. There's no fear. There's no, am I doing too much or not enough? That kind of thing. This next layer, I'm going to use water-soluble color pencils. You know, as we talked about several times, this particular piece is has smaller marks in general. So I'm starting to use smaller materials. I am going to start the timer now. I'm actually just gonna do what I want to do. See what happens, huh? You never know. I think a lot about scribbles, especially after watching that video. And I've been thinking a lot about community art and how to bring people together. And I just love the act of scribbling, you know, it feels so refreshing to me, even though,
Well,
you know.
it has an organic kind of movement that is not, it does things that you couldn't plan. If you wanted to plan, you couldn't do that. And that's really nice.
Yeah, and it makes me feel like I'm like 5 years old again. So, I mean, you know. So, people ask me a lot if my paintings have meanings, because we want to understand, right? Abstract is hard because it's a language that we are creating in the moment. I am creating this language as it's done right now, right? And most often my paintings do have inspiration and or language associated with it, and we can have a conversation about what it means. And sometimes I'm like, no, I just got out paint and smushed it around and went with it, right? So it's always interesting how sometimes even in the middle of a painting, its meaning can come into fruition, which is, I guess, the whole point of intuitive painting. This painting, that being said, this painting on the end is definitely very interesting. It's reminding me of this walk that I take regularly, where I walk the dogs, and it's got a lot of coastal grass. And these little black birds that have little red marks up on their shoulders. And sometimes you just see tiny little red dots amongst the brown. And this painting's really speaking that way to me. So instead of a pink or a purple or whatever, this warm layer is going to be brown. So I'm going to set the timer now. Again, using water soluble colored pencils. I like that being on a time limit takes away doubt because you don't have time to doubt.
Hey, Carista, when you remove the tape, will you show that? Because I'm filming, I'm doing a little film of your class for, I don't know, Instagram or whatever. We're going to do a little reel.
Look at you go. Hey, that's our 1 minute. Well, and we're taking the tape off now, so Leah better be paying attention.
I'm ready. Hold on, almost ready.
I'm going to take it off this first. So who knows? Are you ready?
Yeah.
This is my favorite part, honestly. If I had more patience, I'd use more of the...
Oh, that looks amazing. Look at that. Look at that.
It's the crispness of some of the lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's just a perfect, oh.
Yeah, it's a
hells yeah.
And I preserved my other edges, which makes me really happy.
Uh-huh.
Because
it's the power of white.
Right? Framing it in. So we're at our 4:30 mark, and I said we'd talk about finishing. So I'm gonna primarily focus on this little painting right here, because I've been working on it just recently, the most recently. I'm gonna take these the tape off. And this is kind of the point at which, for me, I look at something and I think to myself, okay, so we got to rein this in. And I'm already feeling kind of connected to kind of the voice of this piece.
It's lovely.
I'm going to look at it and see like what direction does it feel like it should go. And something I'm noticing is I really like the way that the original chalk that I put down created these kind of yellow marks, which was the yellow chalk. Maybe I don't have yellow chalk. Ha ha. It's this one. It's orangey yellow chalk. And I'm going to brighten up some of that. And this is the point at which I talk about, you know, I think abstract art makes its biggest splash when you have a little bit of surprise in there. So I'm going to clarify some of these chalk marks. What's nice is they're top layer marks, so you can maintain the integrity of the chalk better. As I've explained, told in the past, one of the best ways kind of is hairspray. And then something I'm going to do, if I can access it real quick, is I'm going to add some gold powder to this one. You know, I talked about it feeling very much like this experience of this hike that I like to take, and it's, you know, right on the waterfront, and it really like the times that I get to go. The sun is like shining off of things, and so I think a little bit of some iridescent gold Pearl X, my favorite, is going to go on here just to kind of give it some zazzle, right? I'm going to follow in and clarify stuff that's already there. Making it look a little bit less like we just ran an abstract art marathon, and more like we're creating something that has some kind of sentiment. I might just be thinking about this, you know, and this is kind of the beauty of intuitive painting is that, you know, it helps us flush out what we're thinking about, you know. And I'm thinking a lot about this walk I took the dogs on yesterday. I was telling somebody I got really lucky. We had a big old hailstorm here, and I got the dogs out right before the hailstorm, didn't get stuck in the hailstorm, which, you know, is a friggin' miracle sometimes here. Kind of celebrating this a little bit. So I'm going to let this dry. I did put a little bit of the wet pigment in this corner here, so I'm going to let it dry. And then I will send a photo via the WhatsApp. And then we'll get a better look of it, hopefully. So we're going to put this over here and let it dry. Woo. And then we're going to work on the clarification of these other two. So this one's going to be hard, right? Sometimes you think that the one that is just ucked up, meaning that first painting, the one we just did, was super muddy at the first couple of layers, if you remember, and we had to like soak it up and kind of try and fix it. And it came out to be really delightful and beautiful. This one has the big marks. We have the big red marks. We haven't really seemed to get very far in it. We're going to take off the tape. The tape's going to make a nice crisp line in this little mark here. Okay. And we're going to try and figure out how to save this piece. You know, a good part of this kind of activity is, well, what do you do when you've created something that doesn't seem to have a direction yet? And what will help reset it? I like the boldness of the color in this one. It does seem to be kind of lost because there's so much brightness, right? It's got some nice crisp edges. And I think that probably this is this will probably be its orientation. Maybe we'll do this one. This one's kind of nice. So then I'm going to come in and try and figure out, and I'm going to use my colored pencils because I really like them. One of the ways that you can use them oh, you know what? I know what this, I think I know. I don't know. No, I have an idea what might help finish this one off. So I got out a little bit of this light phthalo green, which is a color that I like to bring in when I need to lighten the mood a bit. Reminds me of the 80s, which is probably why I'm attached to it. And I'm going to bring it in and see if we can create some spots of lightness that allow us to have a little bit more kind of interesting concept here. I also have a similar color that is a orange, and it tends to help too.
Ooh, fancy. Oh, Stephanie, these are starting to look nice. Whoa. Delightful.
And it's given me some inspiration, which is the whole point, right?
Love it.
So now I think I'm going to come in with this orange here and do some marks. It's a different color of orange, so I can start on top of other orange. I know that orange marks on top of blue are nice, and we'll see. I might actually wet it a little bit so that it's different kind of medium. See if we can, you know, get somewhere on this painting. Sometimes at this point, you know, it just takes time and really kind of figuring out. This painting honestly probably could use another 5 or 10 layers before it's going to be anything near done. I'm going to let it dry up a bit. And we're going to come down to Scribble Town. Okay. This one's cute. Into the scribbles. I'm going to be interested in how it's going to look with the scribbles interrupted from pulling up the tape, right? Because we scribbled right on top of the tape. Can't really tell. Leah?
Yes.
Have you seen Betty White's TV show, her talk show before the Golden Girls called, oh, it's something about pets.
No.
She interviews famous people that are like iconic, and but it's a pet themed show.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
It's really quite wild. Audrey showed it to me last night.
And are you so into it?
I haven't been able to convince myself to watch it too much, but this painting makes me think of it because it feels a little bit like so much is going on.
Yes.
At all times. She had 3 little puppies, you know.
Oh.
I'm going to bring in some more of the gold here.
What a magical woman.
Yeah, she's a magical woman. Bring in some of the gold here just because I'd like to add, again, that kind of surprise. Make some of these marks kind of iridescent. I've been experimenting a lot more with metallics. I have some metallic watercolors that are pretty incredible. Again, inspired by the children in my little card making class, because man, those kids went straight for the metallics. They made some beautiful
glitter. Whatever is closest to glitter.
Right. So cute. Although this piece is while it is wild and willy, I kind of like the wildness of it. And it's looking pretty sharp. Okay, so I'm going to take some photos of these and I'll put them through on the WhatsApp, and I'm going to take a look at Stephanie's photos. I have to use this phone, unfortunately. So we're going to sign out of this for a little bit. And then we will resume with I might work on 1 or 2, and we're going to kind of go through some similar layers. Let's look at this. Oh, awesome. Wow, we got some stuff going on here, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Jeannie's doing some good work. Oh, Stephanie, I love them. I like that you told her 1 more layer. That green is really popping. I like the restraint too into it. Okay, let's do some photoing. This is my wildness. This one. Okay. And then this one. Okay. It's always funny when I come in and it's my face, because then it's like double face time. Okay. Hi, everybody. Once again, we're working through this. I don't have a professional photographer follow me around. So I'm going to get my pad of paper and get some fresh paper. Okay. Got some other materials as well, just to make this even more wild and fun. Not going to tape my papers down because we're going to see what happens when we just go for it. Falls to the wall. So we're going to see if after our first round of warming up, if we do better with our second round. Sometimes I do, sometimes I do not. My thought is, I think this first layer, I'm going to work on some words. I'm going to start with some words. I'm going to go back to the same methodology, still going to run an abstract art marathon with 1 minute sets and see what kind of wildness we can get ourselves into today. Okay, there we go. Got it. Okay, and go. I might even be weird and just write the same word over and over again. I am actually working on calligraphy and getting better at that kind of stuff, but I still have terrible handwriting. I could be a doctor. I have such bad handwriting. But these bottom layers, obviously, most of the time aren't even seen. A lot of times thinking about spring a lot right now, just because we have a nice day and it feels good.
I mean, that you see them and you see them and you don't see them. I mean, if they weren't there, the top layers would look totally different. So that's the interesting thing about it, right? It has an influence, but it's
right.
It's like those first 5 years of our life. We don't really remember it, but it has a massive influence.
Well, and for some people, the white paper is stressful, Yeah. Okay, so that was my first minute on that page. I am probably going to rotate through 3 again. I got 3 lined out here. Just because I liked the way that worked. I'm going to, on this next one, use these water-soluble oil pastels that I've got and see what kind of trouble I can get into with them. I like to do wild marks at first, so I'm still going to keep doing wild marks, and I've started the timer. These are fun because they're pastels, so they can be smeared like a pastel, and then water can be added like something that's water soluble. This particular raw sienna is very interesting to me, only because it even feels sometimes like they're separate. The colors are separate even in the stick, It's very interesting that way. Trying to use raw sienna more and not be afraid of creating paintings that don't rely on color to be beautiful. What happens if, we're just working with this? Seeing what it brings us. Especially since some of the most beautiful things are browns. There's our 1 minute. And sometimes I do, in processes like this, I really love this first layer. I feel like part of me would just like to leave it like it is and keep it forever because it's cute as heck. But That's not the name of today's game. We're going to use another version. We're going to use ochre on this one. Let's see what we can get into here. And 1 more minute started. Oh, I'm going to break it. Just sheer excitement. Working on a different kind of color scheme you can see this time. I really do kind of like to work the 3 pieces in conjunction with each other though, because I think that it helps my brain kind of work through. Inevitably one becomes a favorite. It's a good thing I never had children because I'd probably be the kind of mom that had one that was a favorite.
You have patchouli and snacks would really take issue with that.
No, like, Julie is my favorite. I mean, because she's mine. Let's be real. Snacks is a good girl, but she's been having some anxiety lately. And the last 2 weeks, she's been home with Audrey. Patchouli's been with me, and Patchouli has been better behaved.
Right.
She's been worrying about snacks. Oh man, so I'm gonna stop. So this is where the perfectionist in me, you know, would like to finish out my little grid of ochre dots, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna play the name of this game, and we're just gonna set it to the side and see what happens. So for review, 3 neutral starts. I didn't start one way or another. I started with graphite, water-soluble raw sienna, and water-soluble ochre. So now I'm going to come into the spring and we're going to start a new layer. So I'm going to make a decision about what that layer is going to be, which is a hard decision to make, I feel like. I might go wild and crazy and do more of the oil pastels. I guess we're going to build up on this particular one, a bunch of small little layers. So on to our next 1 minute. Let's see what happens. Actually, I'm going to add white. I lied. Sorry. Mine changed. This is why I get to do what I get to do. Okay. I got quite a little mess. Like I started with such a clean space, y'all. This kind of work just makes me just throw it to the wind and be wild and crazy. So we're going to get our timer going. And we're going to find out what happens here with this spring. I need to go to start with white on spring, huh? Considering that's not the point, but. So it's water-soluble graphite, which is why that you will see that it's reacting the way that it's reacting. Again, like we learned with the second painting in the last round, something that looks mucky doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be ugly in the end. It may end up being our favorite one. I'm actually going to take another piece of paper. I'm going to wet this, take a secondary piece of paper that I have here, and sop up some of it so it's not so dark, because it's a base layer. We're not going to see it, you know. Watercolor was on the page, bright green watercolor, so definitely splurted into our painting. That's fine. So this go around, I imagine I'm going to do a little bit more movement of the canvas. When I am painting, I like to physically move it a lot. It's just something that makes sense to me. So not being taped down allows me to do that, even though we won't have that beautiful crisp line. So we're going to let that bad boy dry. Oh man, this is the one I'm afraid to mess up. So this is the reality of this kind of style of artwork is that you are going to get attached. I do really love these marks. So we're going to, I guess, see how they play with this next round. If I lose them in 1 minute, I lose them, I guess. We're going to go with a white again. Clearly feeling some neutrals this go round. Part of it is also keeping some of the integrity of what I've got going on here that I like already. Just giving it a little bit of a halo and a glow. We'll see how it survives over the next 45 minutes. too much excitement. I almost lost all kinds of things. This is gonna be a really exciting video for people. They're gonna be like, that lady was just crazy. Okay. Still looking pretty good though. Lost some of the awesomeness, but we still kept a lot of the character. So feel pretty good about that. And okay. Our next layer. Again, it's a water soluble medium. And I'm not sure what we're gonna do yet, which might be kind of the whole intention of the game. I am going to get this. Okay. Start my timer. I get a completely different type of paintbrush, which I sometimes do. And 1 minute to figure out what's going to happen. Different kind of brush, takes the paint differently. Played a little peekaboo with our dots, I guess, huh? Some really interesting neutral bases going here. It's kind of an interesting change for me. Ugh. No less of a mess though, let me tell you. I'm really getting my mess on. Okay. Try and put this back on again. I'll let this guy dry up so that we can get back to this the next round. So now I'm gonna bring in some color. Got some beautiful bases. This spring with our little graphite muckety muck is not looking too bad. And I'm gonna do warm colors this round. I'm gonna start with the quinacridone red. Maybe. You know what? Why don't we just go wild and willy? We're gonna actually pull in fluorescent red. We're doing it, fluorescent pink on the way. Oh. Okay. And here's our minute. Wouldn't it be funny if I just left that one hot pink dot? That was my whole layer. And I was just like, hey. It's not gonna be, don't worry. My watch is telling me to stand. It doesn't know that I'm already standing. Okay, that's going to be our next layer. Can be sometimes a layer can be completely simple. And then the timer will go off and it'll let us know when we're ready for the one after it. I'm going to work on. Okay. Ooh, somebody else is going off too. Okay. Remember this guy?
Yes. Ooh, that's looking good. It's funny, just like a little bit of separation.
Right.
Always like brings you to a new place.
Well, she's up next. I'd like to clean up this white here. Well, just made it work. Cool. Cool. So I'm actually going to be super bold on this bad boy and use the hot fluorescent red again, if I can locate it. I really have made quite the undescribable mess over here. Okay. So this is a great opportunity to talk a little bit about like attachment. I'm super attached to this. I don't want to mess it up. But the whole point of this is that we're exploring things and we're trying something new, right? Not getting stuck in what we want something to be. So I'm going to pull in some hot pink. Let's see what happens. It's a dangerous, dangerous game, but
Hot pink can only improve things.
Well, here we go. The timer's off and the hot pink's coming in.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Oh shit, that's good. Yes.
That's
See, hot pink always helps.
Maybe. We will see. Where's this painting going? That's the whole
It's
point.
early days. It's
we
true.
Don't know. So we're gonna do something a little different with this one, right? Because we like to change it up a bit. We don't want to keep it the same too much. We're gonna pull in a different color of quinacridone. And here we go. We're gonna start our timer. And I'm gonna use the end of this weird brush that I made for myself. If I can get it working, hold on. Nothing like really setting yourself up with weird barriers, huh? This is a lovely color though. I will tell you, for those that are wondering, I have another brush taped to the back of this brush. It's very difficult to use. You know.
We like to keep it interesting.
Well, the whole thing here is we're not getting too attached to outcome, because how are we going to learn anything? How are we going to grow? How are we going to find out really what we're trying to say if we're not willing to risk it?
Right.
We're not. These are kind of nice though. Very gestural. Okay. I don't think we busted it out too much. I don't think we ruined it, right? You never know what's going to happen in this class, folks. Never know.
That's why we like it, right, Stephanie?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we like it, right? We never know what's going to happen.
Sorry, everybody. My phone is going to die because clearly this is the thing. And guess what? It's hot too. We're just going to take our day a step at a time. I just saw some of our regulars walk by looking to see if the coffee shop's open.
Is it?
Oh, no, it's not open. It's Tuesday.
Ah.
So we got some interesting things going on here. We have this hot pink karate chop. We have Spring. Look at Spring and her muckety muck. She's going to be one we have to work with a bit. And then one of my favorites, very Cy Twombly, in the way that it came together. So now I am going to flip spring. It's time to rotate it so that we can just try something completely different. And it's time to add a little bit more color to spring. We're going to do warm colors this round. I'm going to pull in the turquoise.
Turquoise.
Turquoise is the name of the game, yay?
Yay.
So this is one of the first colors I got truly attached to. It's a stunning, it's always stunning when it comes in golden, the brand that I use, one of them. Ew. Here comes our 80s dance party on our spring paper, huh? We're just gonna go with it. Big old marks, you know. What do we have to lose? Turquoise makes everything better. The only
Agreed.
thing, agree. It is even better than hot pink.
Is it resisting or are you?
I'm pulling some of it off
Okay, got it.
so that we can keep the integrity of the hot pink, right?
Okay.
And this is going to need some time to dry because it's getting kind of thick and heavy. Good news is this one still looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be super wild. We're going to pull out some more graphite. Hilariously, I have the melted graphite. If you've been in my class for very long, you know that I use these graphite sticks that were melted in the heat last year of my studio. Turns out water-soluble graphite can't withstand long temperatures, big temperatures. Okay. Gonna start this. I don't quite have a vision for this yet. Too attached, I think, so it's time to let it go. Probably should change the direction of it, huh? Still just a little too attached, which is sad because I'll probably mess it up, but that's life. Okay. Haven't totally blown it out yet, which is good. We're still keeping some awesomeness in the page. It's looking beaut. Back to the Cy Twombly one. So the decision now is I'm going to bring in some blue, very small amounts, mainly because it has such a statement as it is. I don't want to change the feel of it yet. I thought I got myself a sharpener, but okay. So I'm going to go with navy blue. Always a good friend to these two colors. We're going to start our timer. I'm going to do tiny little marks. I'm probably going to get it wet even. So I get sometimes with the water soluble pencils, I get them wet as I'm using them. It's more of a wet medium then at that point. Just happen to really like it. So when I'm doing things like adding small marks, which you guys can barely see, but we'll see in the photos a little bit better, I'm really super intentional about them because they're going to be something that people fixate on when they notice them. They're going to be something that gets a lot of attention. You want to make sure that you do it right and it's not just done. Oh, I'm going to go for one more. Okay, so now kind of moving kind of quickly this round. We have to let this springtime one dry. It is so wet. I'm thinking hard. Okay. We're going to go wild with this next color. Here we go. We're just doing it. Just getting in. Got 1 minute. Make some progress. Deal with the soppiness. With a bright yellow orange color that is wonderful. I think maybe just because of the messiness of our first couple of layers, I'd like to just get some clarifying marks in there. Okay. Probably gonna go for 3 stripes. This is something I think about a lot. I knew my time was gonna run out, but I don't like the way the 2 look, so I'm just gonna do a 3rd one real quick. Spent too much time fighting with the wet medium. We have quite a little party going on here, a little shreddy shred.
Totally. Woo.
It looks like the Wolverine came in and went through my painting. Okay. I feel as though this layer is going to be a make or break for this painting. We've got so much minimal stuff going on. It's hard to know, where to keep going. Something that I was thinking about before is that I think I'm going to add some of the gold powder here. It's going to be a detail that's not really seen. Oh, actually, I'm going to go with a little bit of this green chalk. See, this is how it happens for me, kids. I am going to do the gold powder. I'll probably wait till the end on the gold powder, but right now I'm going to do, because my phones are going to die probably in the next 10 minutes. I'd like to get this done before they're dead into the world. Yep, see? Boom. How did I know? We have 10% left, my friends. Well, let's see what we can do in 10%. Okay, there's our 1 minute. So I am going to try and work on some smaller marks that are maybe clumped together. I don't know. It's hard to know what to do at this point. Now that I'm worrying about my phone dying. Shows how prepared I was today. Into the world of websites. I like green and pink together. Not everybody does. And I recognize that not everybody likes green and pink together. They're a strange little dance for me. So I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to get it in there. Why not? Using chalk because it was out, and that's the name of this, huh? Okay. Well, I don't think we're quite killing it yet. It's different. It's different. Our blue dots have dried very strangely on this one. You can see that they're becoming their own little thing. I'm actually going to pull in some dark orange and see what happens here. We're going to get onto our next layer before we lose technology. And I really did bring something for myself over here and disappointing. This is my favorite color of orange. It's cadmium orange hue. I can struggle with oranges, but this one's just really, we're gonna deepen some of this. See what we can, see if we can bring it out of looking, oh, so beautiful in some spots though, let me tell you guys. Okay. Very florally, all of a sudden. That's fine. Okay. Okay, I am on this one. I'm just gonna pull in this gold powder because that's what I'm gonna finish it with today. Like to make some accents and then get some photographs for you guys to see it. The gold powder adds a little bit of light. You know, it kind of goes with this, the color scheme of this. Looking really beautiful. Gives it a little bit of extra something. If I do it on the wet pigment, I can actually create little like speckles because it will securely stay in the wet pigment, which is kind of nice. Okay. It's quite a beautiful little spot. We'll get that picture taken. How can we finish this guy off before the phone dies? Because my phone's gonna die so quick. I probably would let this one sit in the bad kid corner, honestly. Not that there's anything wrong with it, just that like its next steps need to be well thought, I think. I'm going to not do that. Okay. The finishing is the hardest part, right? Because that's the point that you try to pull it together and try to undo any of the weird things that you've done. We are going to do some gold on this because remember, we're already going to do that. The gold's really subtle on this one. You guys aren't going to be able to see it very well, but it makes, it's a whole nother game. It's beautiful. It's not getting into the green. Adds a little bit of light and texture. What a strange little piece this one is, but I kind of love it. Probably take it home and work with a mat and see how to mat it to make it look really like something I like. Okay. We're gonna let that other one dry. I will get these photographed for you all before my phone dies because it's going to be ASAP. Perfect. Finally figured that part out. Oh, Stephanie, I love your piece with the white. It's beautiful.
Me too. I do too. It looks great. You have to go back to work?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Good luck.
I have to be back in like 10 minutes and I knew I didn't have time to make 3.
That's all right. I love the layers on this one. These are looking really cool.
Well, it turns out it works out because I'm about ready to lose technology.
Right? We can just stop right here if you guys are feeling good. Do you have more to do?
Nope. I'm getting the last little pictures in so folks can see them on the WhatsApp.
That's good.
I can tell by
Yeah. So Stephanie, what'd you get at talk to me about this lesson? What'd you get out of it? What did you learn?
Make it stressful. Okay.
She's like,
She's like, I gotta go to work, lady.
yeah,
Come
why
on.
do you have to ask me that question? You don't have to answer that question if you don't want to.
No. I'm trying to think. So I think the destroying bit at the end, I think that's like really liberating, right? Because you have to do it, and then you get to something that you would never have gotten to if you didn't have to destroy it in the end.
The destroying bit. I love that. That's the tool, the destroying bit. I love that.
Like in the end, because I had to add another layer, and because I used all the other possible colors that I could think of, there was only the white left.
Yeah.
But I like the way that the white, it came in and added some light to it. I mean, it ended up being like the Hail Mary that worked.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I had used all the other tools before, so there wasn't really anything left.
Right.
But it's nice to, like, if you're forced to add another layer, forced in inverted commas, I think then you start doing things that you wouldn't normally have done because maybe you would have felt happy with how it's.
And that's really like, it forces you to continue, right? Yeah. We don't
something that you have done otherwise, right?
And I think that's the power of intuitive abstract work is, I think if you go from a design-based model that I often work from, you don't spend enough time just experimenting and figuring out new things.
Right.
And then, you know, you get into these routines and these things that work really well, and that's all you do. But
be willing to destroy it all. Yeah, it's a big mental, that's a big important thing. All right, you guys, let's we can end this, I think.
Let's everybody have a great day.